Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome once again to Friday evening and welcome once again to happy hours of coaching session. My name is Ashutosh, and I think many of you have seen the past sessions of happy hour of coaching. And today, for a change, I'm not speaking in this session. We have a distinguished speaker, Harish Chandar, who's based out of Delhi NCR. And he's going to talk about a very interesting topic, the role of a product owner in an IT services organization. I think we all know that the product owner, we clearly are aware about the roles and responsibilities of a product owner in a product company. But what about services company? Does the role product owner exist, or he or she is a different species? Or is it another role in disguise, what we call it as a product owner? So I'm sure each one of us has got a lot of these questions, a lot of these queries, and I'm sure all of us are excited to hear about this topic from our distinguished guest today. Let me formally introduce Harish to all of you. Harish is a senior industry professional, thought leader who has got almost 3 decades of experience in the industry. He has worked across different industries, be it manufacturing, oil exploration, materials management, DRDO. I mean, you name it, and it is there on his resume, as you can see, right? Also, he has got a wide spectrum of experience around database administration, training, coaching, support, testing, development, and he brings a lot of value and experience to the table. So it's our privilege to have Harish here talking about this topic. And I mean, he's someone who's very passionate about coaching, someone who loves training, and he's one of the I would say he's one of the first persons. I mean, he got an opportunity to implement SAFe for the first time when it came. I mean, when it was introduced in India. So that is what he the legacy of experience what he carries with him. You can always connect with Harish on the LinkedIn handle which is given here. So without wasting any further time, I would like to hand over to you, Harish. So you can go ahead and share the screen.
Yeah, thanks, Ashutosh. Thanks for the introduction. Good morning, good evening to all who have joined. Let me share my screen. Okay. Please confirm whether you're able to see my screen.
Yes, Harish, we can see the screen. Carry on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. To start off with, I mean, these are the things I have listed down as agenda for this session. So, I mean, there might be people who may not be. I mean, I think most of you are already aware about the PO role. How does PO versus PM works as per SAFe? And I mean, this is just to have a context for everybody to be on the same page. And then specifically, we'll talk about the PO role in a services company. We'll talk about what's the significance of product management and how a PO in a services company can contribute effectively. Okay. And then I can share my experiences and I would like the session to be as interactive as possible. So I've not created too many slides so as to have a more interactive session. So I think we should have enough time for question, answer, etc. So this is something already covered by Ashutosh. So I'll move on. Okay. So this is standard. I think most of you are already aware about it, but just to set the context, a product owner, I mean, he's a member of Agile team. The product owner is single voice of the customer, and he's a stakeholder for the team. The product owner owns and manages the backlog, defines and approves user stories, and lastly, accept user stories as done. Okay, so this is the classic definition, classic what a product owner is supposed to do as against the Scrum Master and team member who are the other roles in Scrum. With respect to scaled agile framework, when we come, the product owner role is divided into two roles. One is that of product manager, and another is the product owner. The product manager is basically the customer facing, business facing, or end customer facing role, while a product owner spends more time with the Scrum team. Right? A product manager is responsible for pricing, licensing, looking into return on investment, etc. While a product owner understands the business as well as technical aspects. So product owner can sort of act as a bridge between a business person who, I mean, basically the person understands the business language as well as the person understands the technical aspects so that the person can explain the things easily to a technical team, right? The third point, the product manager owns the program backlog. So that means a story at higher level of hierarchy, which is what we call as program, which program backlog. And the product owner owns the team backlog, which involves basically stories, user stories, and tasks. Okay. The fourth point, the product manager defines the releases and features, and the product owner defines the sprints and stories. Okay. The last point is that product manager accepts the program increment, okay, which happens at the end of the PI, while a product owner accepts the sprint increment. So whatever is delivered at the end of the sprint or within the sprint, that is something which is accepted by the product owner. Okay, so so far we are all on the same page. If there are any questions till this point, we can you are free to raise those. Okay, so I don't see anything. So let me move ahead. Okay, so now the comes the main question: what is the PO role in a services company? Okay, so how does PO interacts with the client? Obviously, the PO would be interacting with the development team. Preferably, I mean, it is always preferable for a PO to be sitting, to be co-located along with the development team, so that in real time the clarifications for any requirement related questions can be given. Okay, but apart from being in contact with the development team, PO has to have a lot of communication with the client. Okay, so what are those people with whom the PO interacts? Okay. So PO has to have regular interaction with the product manager. That's obvious. The product manager will bring in the requirements, collect the requirements, and then provide high-level requirement to the product owner, who would basically divide the bigger features into stories, have discussed with the development team, right? And that interaction with product manager is the most common interaction, which is almost a daily interaction, or at least twice, thrice a week interaction. Okay. The second team with which the product owner interacts is the UX team. Okay, so in some cases, yes, the product owner himself or herself may need to make the UX design, but in some cases wherein you have a new product which is to be an enterprise product, you may have a separate centralized UX team members who may be at on-site or offshore. Okay, so with UX team also, the product owner needs to interact to get the design, etc. Then there may be content management team who may be preparing the user manual, etc. To provide to let them know what new features are going in, how it should be presented to the customer, maybe providing the training to people for the people who would be interacting with the end user. So that could be another communication. Okay, then there is a communication with the account managers, salespersons, okay, the people who are directly interacting with the end users. Then if the product is very complex, like it was in my case, there might be subject matter experts or business owners who might give you more context about what needs to be done, how it should be done, etc. What are the complications involved, what are the government regulations. So all those things, business owners can provide more context. And in some cases, you may directly interact with the end users as well. Okay. Then, if you have dependency on different teams, it is quite possible that API for your feature is being developed by another team. Okay. Or there are some other aspects which are to be done in coordination with other teams. So in that case, you need to interact with the product manager or product owner from those teams as well, right? Then apart from that, the um, product owner will also interact with DBA, architect, release train engineer, delivery managers, okay, as required on as required basis. Okay. So I'm not saying all these roles will be there in every kind of environment. So I've just listed down that these are the possible different teams with which a PO in a service company may need to interact. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? Program increment. Okay. In addition to above points, yeah, interaction with the agile team is obvious. Yes, I said that in the beginning. Yes, obviously there needs to be a constant interaction with the agile team, and that's a that's a regular basis. In fact, right now we are mostly working from home, but otherwise, I used to be co-located with the development team. We used to interact with the team on a very regular basis. Can you please explain what the RTE means? So RTE is the release train engineer. Okay, so it's like a chief Scrum master who conducts the Scrum of Scrum in Scaled Agile framework. Okay. Why PO from product-based company are not involved with these stakeholders? If they are, what is different? Okay. Well, I'm not saying in product-based company these interaction would not be needed. Okay, but see, basically, any product owner may need to interact with all these people. But it is quite possible that if you are in a startup kind of company, then all these roles may not exist. Okay, one team may be doing multiple work, so maybe you will not see all these roles in a smaller company. But for a bigger enterprise, for the example which I am giving in, we have around 350 people working from offshore and another 250 people from the client side. So overall, there are more than 600 people working. So it's quite a complex product. So that's why we have so many roles and responsibilities. So it is possible to have it anywhere. Yeah, so just wanted to point out, the point which I was trying to bring in here is that a product owner will not only interact with product manager, with experience, with getting more insight into the product, it is quite possible that you may need to interact with a lot of other entities to get more clarifications. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so I would like to bring out the point why product management is such an important role. Okay, so we do know the projects fail, right? But what is the reason that projects fail? Can anyone, I mean, uh, you can type in either in chat or maybe you can unmute and let me know your opinion. Ambiguous requirements, planning, yes. Unrealistic timelines, lack of budget, scope creep, okay, lack of planning, risk not shared timely, okay, fine. Poor communication and lack of stakeholder management, imbalanced coordination, resources lacking skill required, risk management is left on God in India. Okay. Scope, time, and member role are not clearly defined. Unclear roadmap and vision. Okay. Yeah, all valid points. Thank you. So let me present my opinion over here. Okay. So this is a finding. I mean, this is not just what I am saying. This is from an authentic source, what I'm writing here. So over 50% of all projects fail. This is official figures, and those that succeed deliver products in which 60% of the 64% of the functionality is rarely or never used. Isn't it shocking to see these figures, right? Another finding, this is again from very authentic source. This is from Standish Group, and it was officially reported in IEEE conference. Far more than 50% of the functionality in software is rarely or never used. And when we are saying rarely or never used, we are not talking just about marginally valued features. We are talking about no value features. That means which provide no value to the users. So, I mean, if you look at these things, isn't it obvious that I mean, who would control these things? Who can control whether we are doing what a user would actually use, or we are just producing almost useless things? Okay, so it is the product owner, product manager who would do all these things. So the significance of product management is very well brought out by these figures, right? Okay. Okay. So let's move on. Right. So how do we achieve failure? We always talk about achieving success, but at times we are targeting towards failure. How do we achieve failure? Right. So if we are building something which nobody wants or nobody uses, does it matter if we accomplish it on time, within budget, with high quality, and with beautiful design? Right? I mean, development team is doing what they need to do. They are doing ideal work. Everybody is, I mean, whatever they have been told to do, they are doing excellent. They are very good technical resources, but all that is useless, right? Because nobody is using that feature. Okay, so successfully executing a bad plan, I mean, planning is important, I understand, but if the plan is bad and you are executing it, you are basically achieving failure. You will not achieve success. right? Again, emphasizing the same point, creating something which no one uses is equivalent to wasting time, right? So how do you become productive? You become productive only by not wasting the time, right? So that is why a product management function is a very important function. Somehow when we talk about, I mean, different agile roles, in fact, I mean, I'm not sure what is your experience, but I feel that the product management role is sort of underrated. But the product management role is as important as the Scrum Master role, or even more important than Scrum Master role. Okay. Are these results mainly due to ambiguous requirements? It may not be only ambiguous requirements. Maybe the requirements itself are not analyzed properly. Maybe you are trying to make something without doing proper, without doing proper analysis, without having proper interaction, getting inputs from the users. Okay, you are trying to do too many things. In fact, I have an experience with two enterprise products. The first product was a complete failure. It took 3 years to complete that product, and then afterwards the product has had to be sunset and replaced by another product. And another product I have, on which I worked, I worked on that product for around 8 years. It was a resounding success, and some of the reasons why we succeeded with the second product was that we, learned from the failure of the first product. Okay, yeah. So Vijay, you have very rightly pointed out that in Agile we are delivering the software or functionality in increments so that we can get requirements from customer, we can get their feedback, and we do what the customer needs. That's why MVP is very important. Okay, go to the customer as soon as possible. Don't wait to complete. Don't try to have a wow kind of feeling. That was the intention when we went with the first product. We wanted to. We sort of we were hiding what we are producing from everybody, and we wanted to create a wow kind of effect once the product is released to the customers. Okay, so that was the reason of not going to the end customer immediately. We were interacting with internally with the different stakeholders, with the SMEs, architects, UX design, and so on. But we were not actually going to the end users. So that was one of the mistakes. Okay, let's let's now see how can a PO in a service company can contribute in this environment. Okay. So obviously the very first thing which can be done by a PO is to reduce wastages, to reduce rework. Now the question is, how can it be done? Can you suggest any, from whatever we have done so far, whatever we have discussed so far, what is it that a PO sitting at offshore, okay, who is not in direct contact with the end user, who may or may not know the domain so well. Sorry. So how can a PO can contribute in these circumstances? Okay, reuse the existing features. Okay, that's great. Definitely, if something is existing, some workflow is existing, make use of that functionality in place of creating absolutely from scratch. Okay, so you know, I mean, what are the functionalities available and how that can be tweaked to get the I mean, build what a user wants. Okay, clearly defined definition of ready and definition of done, so that development team will develop as per the client requirement. Well, definition of done and definition of ready, well, I mean, these will not come actually into the domain of product owner. But yes, those things may be important as well. Okay, then Amit has written online feedback and realign priorities accordingly. Yes, definitely interact continuously with product manager and realign priorities. That's right. In fact, one of the things I used to do was initially, I mean, I used to get the UX created. So even before the build is created and things are deployed, and I mean, you can show the functionality via the dev environment. I mean, I could ask the development team to send me a screenshot of what is being produced, send it to the product owner or the UX team, get the initial feedback, so that they need not, I mean, if any feedback can be given even before the development team has completed the work, that can be incorporated, right? So the earlier you get the feedback, the lesser rework is involved. Okay, so that is what the idea is. Okay, know when to say if the requirement changes frequent. I couldn't get it exactly. Deepak, can you unmute and explain what you mean? Okay, anyway, the other points, creating right prototype wireframe. Yes, getting the prototype wireframe is important, and it should be ideally available before the development team starts working. In some cases, the you as a product owner would be creating the wireframe. In some cases, you will get it from the UX team. Okay, and one more important thing here is that let's say there is I mean, the UX team might try to push for a very, I mean, the designs which are flashy, which seems, I mean, which seems excellent, but which may not be very easy to build from by the development team. So in those cases, we need to have a trade-off. We need to have a discussion with the UX team. Okay. And maybe in some cases, if you feel that the extra effort which is needed for creating those fleshy kind of UX design is not worth the effort of the development team, you may get the design simplified. Okay. No, okay, this we discussed. Gather feedback from end users mainly. Okay, yeah, I mean, if you can get feedback from end users, nothing like it, but it is not always possible sitting at offshore, okay, working for a IT services company. In fact, to start off with, I mean, you may not act as a product owner. In fact, I mean, initially in a services company, the person who starts as product owner, they are initially sometimes called as proxy product owner. And that means you are acting as a proxy, but you are a product owner for your agile team. Okay, so what it means is, and in fact, that role can be performed by any one person within the agile team. Often, this role is performed by a tester or a QA person, right? Because that person knows the requirement, that person can think like a end user most of the times. Yes, there are exceptions, but in some cases, the tester can fill in that role beautifully. Okay, so in that case, the proxy product owner basically collects the questions from the development team and interacts with the product owner or the product manager and gets those clarified. And over a period of time, that proxy product owner develops the competence and starts answering some of the questions from the development team. Okay, and if this continues for a little longer, that proxy product owner can take up the role of a full product owner. Okay, so that is how things progress in a service IT services company. Okay, so that is how that is one way. Uh, there is one more way to reduce wastages. Okay, so anybody can think of any other aspect apart from that? Okay, so Deepak is saying, basically I was saying when to say no. There are too much requirement changes. Okay, so if there are too many requirement changes, I mean, obviously we need to take a call why there are so many requirement changes. We need to think of how can we do some kind of backlog grooming upfront so that requirement changes can be minimized. We can have a discussion with product manager. Okay, but all that is fine. But ultimately, I mean, it is not important. As we say in Agile, it is not important to follow the plan. It is more important to do what is actually needed at that point of time. Right? Research utility. By research, you mean market research or I mean research about what the users would need, right? Yeah, that is obvious. That is needed. Okay. Now, another way is to have a reduce wastage is to have interaction with the development team. Um, what do you think? Can your interaction as product owner with development team, can it help to reduce wastages? Assign the work to right person team. Okay. See, ideally speaking, if you're talking of one agile team, the work assignment is not done by product owner. Okay, the team members pull the work themselves, right? But yes, it is quite possible that there are multiple teams and each team is specialized on different modules. So in that case, I mean, product owner can take a decision that which team is best to work on this. Okay. Uh, yeah, Vijay has very rightly pointed out. Then, I mean, if product owner is assigning the work, then we are not giving freedom to development team, right? Define the requirements clearly and continuously and monitor the output. Okay. Okay, let me ask a more direct question. Defining the requirement. So, who is responsible for defining the requirement? Is it only the product owner and product manager who are responsible for defining the requirements? Okay, business, team, stakeholders. Sorry, I got muted. It looks like. Okay, business analyst. Actually, see, business analyst is not ideally a role in Agile. Yes, I know some organizations are still carrying on, but I mean, if we are talking of pure Scrum, it is only the product owner. If we are talking of SAFe, scaled agile framework, then it is product owner and product manager. Okay. Yes, getting the requirements from client, that is one angle of it. That is very important. But now I was trying to point to the other aspect of it. which was to have a interaction with the development team. Okay, so let me, in fact, tell you a real incident which happened. I mean, I was in a pre-sales call, and I mean, there was a discussion regarding productivity. Okay, I mean, the prospective client asked how do you ensure that each developer is productive, what matrices you have, and so on. Okay. So there was a quality assurance guy in the call, and that guy explained the different matrices, what all we do, how do we make sure that our developers are productive, they are well trained, and so on. Okay. Um, I mean, then I said, may I add a point here? I mean, if you want more productivity from developers, okay, all this is fine, whatever you are thinking. um, I would just recommend that have development team involved in the requirement analysis. I mean, the guy was actually shocked. He said, "How do I? Why should I waste my developers' time in requirement? That is the responsibility of my product owner. Okay, that product owner will interact with the user, and that product owner will very clearly, in unambiguous term, will provide the requirement to the developers. Okay, so that was his point of view. Okay, but in my experience, unless you involve delivery team uh, in the requirement discussions, you would not be optimizing the design. You would not be optimizing, I mean, how to build the product. Okay. So in fact, if you have gone through agile training, they talk of three C's. So when a product owner ideally goes to a development team, the product owner should go with us with one card, okay, wherein there will be 2 3 lines of what is the requirement, right? um, that requirement is in a user voice form, which says basically who needs the requirement, what is needed, and why it is needed. It never says how it is to be done, how it is to be implemented. The how part of it should come as a result of interaction between product owner and the development team. Okay. Now, in a product company, this thing might happen on a regular basis. Uh, I mean, development team sits along with the product manager, and that kind of interaction happens, may happen, or is more likely to happen. But for a services company, I mean, at times when a new engagement is starting, the client may just treat you as a technical worker who will do whatever is told to them, right? But even in these cases, if the development team is involved early in the cycle, if they are told what is the roadmap, what are future things coming up, they can definitely come up with better design. They can even provide suggestions regarding how to build better. What is the better alternative of developing this requirement? They can even suggest changes to the wireframes, which have come from the UX team. Okay. So my suggestion, if you need to work as a product owner in a services company, would be to, I mean, to treat your development team as a partner in requirement finalization. Okay, involve them in all discussions. You will get very useful suggestions from them. In fact, I've written a blog on this in LinkedIn. You can always go through that blog. I've written my experiences on this part. That in fact, initially when I was interacting with dev team, they were hesitant. They were expecting me to tell the requirements on a on everything, right from A to Z. I said it is not my job to give you the complete requirement. You tell me how you want to develop it. So, there were a lot of, to and fro. Some people were not confident with this approach and so on. But gradually, over a period of time, we reached it. We had a situation wherein they became very comfortable. In fact, they became very confident, and they were forthcoming in saying why we are doing this. Why not do it like this? So those kind of questions started coming from development team, which was quite useful. Right. Sorry, time check. How much we have? We have another 15 minutes, right? Okay. Yeah. So Vijay is saying that during grooming sessions, can this issue be resolved? Yes, definitely. So grooming session should not mean only one grooming session wherein you have the, sprint planning meeting. Okay, there needs to be multiple grooming sessions. Maybe in the first grooming session, things don't even register in your mind what needs to be done. Okay, so you need to have multiple grooming sessions. I would suggest to have, at least one grooming session with the team every week. Maybe two sessions every week. Okay. At times, not everyone can be involved, but involve as many developers as possible in those discussions. And I can assure you that it would be more productive. It will not waste developer times. It will be more productive as compared to measuring their productivity, measuring how much work they are doing, how many lines of code they have written. All those things becomes meaningless if they are producing crappy code because of frequently changing requirements. Right? Okay. This is the, one of the blog which you can read later on. Okay, so that brings me to the, basically, I can share my experiences, but rather than me telling you about my experiences, I would like you to know, your questions so that spend more time on what you actually want to know from me.
Okay, so what we will do is, yeah, hi, Ashutosh here. We will just open up the floor for questions, or if anyone wants to share any of their experiences. So now you can unmute yourself and you can have a conversation. So all you have to do is unmute, press the unmute button, and if you have any feedback or any discussion points, please share it up here. Or Harish will be there to discuss this.
Hello, sir. I wanted to know the entire workflow of single sprint. Like, who does the work? What work first? Like, is it like the product manager talks to the stakeholders, and then and then they go to the product owner, and then to the development team? Exactly, what is the entire flow? Like the step by step, what happens, what after what?
Okay, let me unmute myself. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, so the workflow, there is a sprint. But even before the sprint planning meeting happens, there are, the requirement gathering, the analysis of the requirement, discussion with different stakeholders, all that needs to happen, right? And even at that stage, development team can be involved while they are working on the previous sprint. They can be involved into, regarding the requirements which needs to be implemented for the future sprints. That is what we call as, backlog grooming, right? So to start off with, the ideas for different requirements, they may come from customer, they may come from customer support team who are getting different complaints from the customer. The ideas may come from architect that a new technology is coming up and this can be done. The idea may come from UX team. So there are different ways through which you can get ideas about new features that can be developed, right? Now, as a product manager, you will be prioritizing those. You need to see what is it that will bring maximum value by spending least effort, right? So that is how you prioritize those items. And then the higher priority items, the product manager would start discussing with the product owner. Okay. Depending on the experience of product owner, the discussion may start very early in the cycle or maybe late in the cycle. If the product owner is new and the product manager is not very confident about product owner, then it may be late in the cycle. But in any case, product owner will get involved before the sprint planning definitely. And at that point, the product owner should involve the product development team also into these discussions, right? And on after multiple grooming sessions, you will have a planning meeting. So the team would be committing to the stories, okay, and then they start actually working on the stories. Even at the time of implementing the stories, there might be some more doubts which might come up. Okay, so it's possible that some new requirements might come up during the implementation as well. So in that case, again, a decision needs to be taken whether a new story needs to be created for the changed requirement, or it can be accommodated as part of the same user story. Okay, and I mean this is what we call as DBT cycle: define, build, and test. Okay, and once everything is developed to the satisfaction of product owner, the product owner accepts the stories, and at the end of the sprint, the story is demoed to the stakeholders. Okay, and a retrospection is had. Okay, so this is the complete life cycle.
Anyone else? Any questions? So you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi Harish, Mohna here.
Yeah, hi, Mana.
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful information that you have shared. So my question is, do you have any resources, where we can go through in detail, in deep about the product owners, product managers?
You're asking about the role, I mean, about the
material
product.
kind of thing, where we can
Okay.
get through courses, something like that.
Okay, I can share with you one resource.
Okay.
Mm, I had this shared. Okay, so this is one resource you can, I mean, take a look at. So there are, certifications from Agile Alliance, from Scaled Agile Frameworks, Scrum Studies, Scrum.org, etc. But those are more related to specifically about the process, Agile process part of it. Uh, but as a product owner, as a product manager, if you need to grow, there are different aspects which you need to know. There is you need to see which domain you would be working on. So maybe you need to get knowledge about that domain. You need to know about the market, which market you are operating. So for the same kind of product, US market might behave differently as compared to European market or Asian market. So you need to know the market. You need to know about UX design. Not in all cases you will have a separate UX team. In some cases, you would need to create the UX design. So maybe you need to learn about some tools through which you can create wireframes, mockups, etc. Okay, so like that, there are a number of things, different aspects which you can learn. I mean, in fact, there is just too much to do as a product owner, and you cannot become master in all areas. So, I mean, ideally speaking, you should have, I mean, high level language of different aspects, and then deep language of certain aspects which are more relevant to you, where you are working. Right?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Harish. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hope features are estimated at high level to accommodate in release when it happens in the cycle. Okay. So, see, I mean, there is always an expert opinion regarding the high level estimate. In fact, I mean, as I told you, I worked as a product owner. So even before going to the team, normally I used to know what would be the estimate. Okay. But ultimately, my estimate doesn't hold any value. The estimate has to be provided by the development team. Okay. But with the experience, with knowing that similar feature we did earlier that took this much time, this much story point. So this is kind of similar, kind of plus something plus 50%. So, I mean, we have a high level figure in mind beforehand. Um, but actual estimate, we as a product owner, as a product manager, we are not supposed to force those figures to the development team. Maybe we can ask for clarification why you are giving this much effort. What are the workflows you have in your mind? Those kind of probing questions you can ask, but ultimately the estimates are owned by the development team, not by product manager or product owner.
Yeah, I understand that, but when you plan for release before the feature, when you come up with the feature, then you will finalize it for which release it has to go. Am I right?
Yeah.
Then the features are broken down into stories, and stories are being estimated by the team.
Right.
While you decide the feature itself, maybe at architect level or the architect group will decide this will come at this level, maybe at a story point, or at it might take 2 months of time or something like that. They will come at an estimate. On that plan only, the POs will plan, we can accommodate in this release. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You are right. There is a high level estimate, definitely. But that high level estimate
will not hold good at all time.
Yeah, not hold good, and it will be refined over a period of time. So actually what happens is, I mean, if I give you my example, so as a product manager, as a product owner, we might plan for say 15 features for the release. Okay. We internally know that out of those 15 features, 5 features are sort of must do features. Okay. Out of rest 10, we have a priority. Okay. And some of the features, we know that even if it is not done, nobody will complain. It's not important. So we give all those 10 features, 12, 15 features to the development team, have them estimate during the PI planning. And then whatever fits into the PI, we take up that. So most likely the 5 features which we say is the must do features, those are accommodated. Unless something major comes up which nobody thought of earlier. Um, uh, but the lower priority features, everybody understands that they can be left out if they cannot be accommodated.
Okay.
Okay. That's a good question. How a Scrum Master can transform his or her journey in the PO space? Any certification is must to have, or learning more about domain is the key to success? Well, okay. See, all these things are important. I mean, certifications. Uh, I mean, if you ask me, I will not lay more emphasis on certification. Yeah. But I mean, from the point of view of switching the job, if you are going for a job, I mean, maybe your resume may not be shortlisted if you don't have the certification which they are looking for. So from that angle, yes, certifications are important. But to me, what is more important is gaining the knowledge, knowing about the domain, knowing about the, overall agile process. Obviously, you need to know. But you are not the process master. It is the Scrum master who needs to know more about the process. But what is more important for you is to have effective communication, to understand the domain, to know how to prioritize the things, to judge what is important, what is not that important. Um, right? There would be bugs, whether the bugs need to be fixed immediately or the team can leave the bug for the time being and nobody will complain. So, those kind of judgmental calls are that kind of analytical mind is very, very important for a product owner. Right? What is important, what is not important? That is the most important thing. Okay, any other question?
Hey, Harish, I have a question. I posted a question. So, my question is very similar to that one, right? So, we will be having like one product manager, whereas there might be like multiple Scrum teams, right? And we need to have at least like one product owner per Scrum team. In most of the case, there are conflict of interest between if the same person is playing the role of the master and the product owner, there might be, right? So in that case, how we can effectively manage without a product owner uh, in a Scrum team?
Sorry, you said there is a conflict between the role of product
No,
owner
if
and whom?
the Scrum Master, if a same person is playing the role of a Scrum Master and the product owner, right? So there might be some conflict of interest, right, in the roles and responsibilities.
Yeah,
So in that,
definitely, I
yeah,
completely agree. In fact, it is not advisable to have the
right,
same person as product owner and Scrum Master. I will
exactly,
definitely not advise it.
exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
if we don't have enough product owner per Scrum team, so how we can effectively manage multiple Scrum teams? Assume that we have one product manager and we have all the requirements and everything is flowing into the team through the product manager.
Uh, Okay, so from my experience, we are working on a product in which there are, I think, 12 Scrum teams working simultaneously, right? So we have one product manager, and then we have five product owners, I think. Yeah. So some product owner is looking into three teams, and some product owners are looking into two teams. So that is how we are operating. Um, in case your question is that, you are a service company and the client is not paying for a product owner, so a Scrum Master is playing the role of a product owner. Um, if that is what you are looking for, yes, in some cases, that kind of situation do arise. But the person should be mature enough to understand, when that person is playing the role of Scrum Master and when that person is playing the role of a product owner. And it is not easy to do. I would rather prefer that a tester in the team plays the role of a proxy product owner rather than the Scrum Master playing that role.
Okay. Thank you, Harish. Makes sense.
Yeah, hi. I had a question because you
Yeah, we'll
referred.
we'll just take this as the last question. We're already out of time, but I'm taking this question. Yeah, go ahead, Subhash. One last question from you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So when you talk of service organizations, clearly we're talking about organizations which have DevOps and SRE maturity. Now, as the organization evolves, and we're talking about service teams, what would be a role of a transition for the product owners to? What would be the transition landscape looking like in your opinion?
So you are talking from career progression perspective?
No, not career progression perspective. From a team perspective, we need to look at it from the fact that operations teams are moving towards service teams, right? And more so in a service organization. So obviously there will be transition of the product roles too. And it would be product manager and product owner both under the remit of that. And the role has to continue to evolve. So the question here was, how is that evolution happening? If I mean, again, I have a different experience because I've come in from a different background, and I've seen a revolution in my space. I was just trying to understand in the service industry space, how has been the evolution of the product roles?
See, with the evolution of DevOps, I mean, one of the things is definitely that the operations team needs to work closely with the development team and the product management team. Okay, so that's what I said in the beginning when I was discussing with different communication channels of the product owner. Product owner would be interacting with the services team to get the feedback about customer calls, customer complaints, etc., so that the new features can be accommodated as per what is needed by the users, right? So this is definitely one of the channels. Now, as far as technical evolution is concerned, about product. So there are,
I'm not talking about the technical evolution. I'm talking about the role of the product folks. So, I mean.
Yeah, so with respect to role, the product owner would be interacting with, the operations team. The product owner would be, they would understand what DevOps is and, how exactly, the build, etc. would happen, how exactly when the release is going to happen. They need to have coordination among us different teams so that releases are happening smoothly, because ultimately the whole product is product manager or product owner's responsibility, right? As they say, a product owner or product manager is the CEO of the product. So everything which needs to happen for the betterment of the product is the product owner or product manager's responsibility. Right. So from that perspective, what I could think of as of now is that yes, they need to have an active channel of communication with the operations team.
Well, okay. I guess, I think we are veering off the context in which I asked that question. The question was more towards perhaps, in service organizations or service-based roles, we are moving from DevOps to SRE. And as that happens, even the product owner and the product roles also needs to evolve. So beyond the normal calls, I guess the other element I was looking at is the AI elements. And but again, I think we are running out of time, so I'll leave it at that. Maybe we can connect offline to have a further discussion. In the interest of time, I'll just leave it at that. I was talking at more in terms of the transition, not just I understand he's the CEO of the product, etc., etc. That's pretty much what is the role, but specifically on the service side, on the service industry, the biggest transition, according to me, has been the movement from DevOps to SRE, and that's continuing to happen. But the product role has not evolved to the extent that I see. But in our case, we managed to push the boundaries a bit. But I was hoping to hear from the service industry what is the changes.
Okay, yeah, Subhash, let's have a conversation separately. Maybe I would learn also a few things from you, what you are doing.
Thank you. It'll be a pleasure. And thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so thanks everyone. I think we are almost out of time, and I'll just take a minute. To first of all talk about some things. I hope my screen is visible. So first of all, thanks to Harish for this wonderful session. Just a small token of appreciation from our side, Harish, for coming for our community and delivering this talk. For those of you who are new, this is a series of talk which we have usually on Fridays. But next Friday, we may not have the session because it's a long weekend in India, 26 January. It's a holiday in India. Thursday. So we may not have the session next Friday. But yeah, our plan is to get more speakers. I also come in and pitch in for some of the topics. And once again, thanks, Harish, for this wonderful session. I'm pretty sure people were engrossed. They had a lot of questions. And I know there have been a lot of questions which have remained unanswered. But I will request participants to contact you. I think they can reach out to you on LinkedIn. They can connect with you and feel free to answer their questions. So just a small token of appreciation from our side. And for those of you who are new, we have a YouTube channel where there are now 130 plus videos. So if you're really looking for knowledge, if you're really looking to invest in gaining knowledge, feel free to connect on the YouTube channel. The QR code is given here on the screen. I also have given my LinkedIn connection request. If anyone is interested to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to connect on LinkedIn. Yeah, Harish, sir, if you can also put in your LinkedIn here, LinkedIn details here, that also would be great. And let me also see if I can pull it out quickly. So we'll also share the LinkedIn details of Harish so that you can connect with him. And yeah, I mean, looking forward for more Fridays, more fun, more excitement. As you know, right, we started this series during pandemic, but it has still grown with your support. Also, the YouTube channel has grown a lot. We have 3,500 subscribers as we speak with 130 plus videos. So looking forward to grow in that also. That is also something we are looking forward to with your support. And yeah, I do also provide candid feedback. If you don't like a video, if you don't like a session, feel free to provide that feedback. We'll be more than happy to improve it. So on that note, I think we are good to sign off for the day and have a happy weekend to all of you. Enjoy your weekend, learn something, pick up something productive. And looking forward to see all of you in subsequent happy hours of coaching session. We in any case will be communicating the links where the recording of this session is. What are the other platforms we have? We also have a Telegram group for job openings. So we also have a meetup group available. So we'll be sharing all those links to you in a formal email communication in a day or so once the recording is edited. And once again, thanks, Harish, for the wonderful session and happy weekend to all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ashutosh, you will be including the URL of Mr. Harish also, right, in the email?
Yes. It will come there. I've also pasted it in the chat, but I will also put it in the email. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening, great day ahead, and happy weekend to all of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Ashutosh, for providing the platform. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it was wonderful interacting. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.